The corridors of the Lurian palace shimmered with curtains of silver light that swayed in perfect resonance with the heartbeat of the massive structure. Every wall hummed softly, alive with energy and ancient purpose. Into this realm of towering spires and luminous halls walked a human soldier named Aaron. He moved with careful steps, never fully sure whether the palace welcomed him or tolerated him. The Lurians were known across the stars for their elegance, their grace, and their absolute devotion to hierarchy. Humans, on the other hand, were known for refusing to bow unless absolutely necessary. This contrast made his presence a topic whispered behind every crystalline panel. Aaron had come as a representative from a small but resilient human colony. He had been selected not by fortune, but by reputation. During a skirmish on the border of Lurian space, he had rescued a Lurian envoy and prevented a tragic misunderstanding from spiraling into war. His name had spread quickly among those who watched the fragile balance of alliances. The Queen of the Lurians had called him to her palace for a formal acknowledgement. Aaron had expected a ceremony, perhaps a medal, and then a quiet departure. He had not expected to become the center of a moment that would shake the palace to its core. The audience chamber stretched before him like the interior of a grand cathedral, though it pulsed with alien architecture. Columns of liquid light twisted upward into the ceiling. The air carried the faint scent of something floral but unfamiliar, like a field of blossoms on a world he had never seen. Dozens of Lurian nobles stood on either side of the chamber, their tall, slender forms wrapped in robes that changed color with each movement. Their eyes, large and reflective, rested on Aaron with a mix of curiosity and caution. At the far end of the chamber, atop a raised platform of radiant crystal, stood the queen. Her name was Liari. Her presence commanded both attention and stillness. She wore a crown that floated above her head, suspended by invisible energy. Her features held the ethereal refinement of her kind. She was a ruler who rarely showed emotion, yet respected by all who lived under her rule. Aaron approached with measured breath. He bowed slightly, not as deeply as the nobles around him, but respectfully enough to acknowledge her rank. Liari raised her hand in a gentle gesture, signaling that he may rise. Her voice floated through the chamber, calm and melodic. "Human Aaron, your actions preserved peace when conflict threatened to engulf us." He stood straight, hands at his sides. He felt dozens of Lurian eyes studying him, as though dissecting every detail. "I only did what was right," he said, keeping his voice steady. Before the queen could speak again, a soft patter of footsteps echoed behind her. It was fast, unrestrained, and not at all fitting for the silent dignity of the hall. The nobles turned their heads. Two royal attendants shifted nervously. Then a small figure appeared from behind the raised platform. It was the queen's child. Her name was Erin. She was young by Lurian standards, still learning the customs of the court. Unlike the adults, she showed her emotions openly. Her eyes were bright, curious, and expressive. For reasons beyond anyone's understanding, she had developed a fascination with the idea of humans. She had never met one in person until now. The moment Aaron saw Aaron, she froze. He stood still, unsure of what to expect. The nobles stepped back instinctively, unsure whether the child's approach would be allowed or punished by tradition. In the palace, decorum meant everything. Children were expected to behave with restraint befitting their lineage. Running was frowned upon. Charging toward an outsider was unthinkable, but Aaron suddenly darted forward. The attendants gasped. The nobles murmured. Aaron took an involuntary step back, more surprised than frightened. The child sprinted across the glowing floor, her robe fluttering behind her, and then she hid behind Aaron's leg. Her small hands clung to him, as though he were familiar and safe. Every Lurian in the chamber froze. Aaron looked down in shock. Aaron was trembling slightly. She peeked out from behind him, staring at the nobles as though hiding from their judgment. Aaron glanced around, uncertain what he had done to spark such an unexpected reaction. He raised his hands slowly, palms open. He did not want to be seen as threatening, especially not when the Queen's child was pressed against him. Queen Liari stepped down from her platform. Her expression remained composed, but there was a flicker of confusion in her eyes. She approached with slow, measured steps. Even then, Aaron clung tighter to Aaron. The Queen stopped a short distance away and spoke with calm authority. "Aaron, step away from the human." Aaron shook her head and pressed herself even closer behind Aaron. Gasps rippled across the chamber. Aaron swallowed hard. He had no idea what protocol allowed in such cases. He knew only one thing. He was not going to move abruptly or cause panic. Liari tilted her head slightly, studying her child. She then shifted her gaze to Aaron. Her voice remained calm. "Human Aaron, do you know why my child hides behind you?" He answered honestly, double quotes, "No, Your Majesty." Aaron tugged lightly at his sleeve. Aaron lowered himself slightly so he could hear her small whisper. "They were talking about me," she murmured. "I was afraid they would scold me again. You looked strong. I felt safe." Aaron did not know how to respond. He looked up at the Queen. He could sense the tension in the room. Lurian nobles were exchanging glances filled with shock. Never before had the royal child run to an outsider for comfort. Certainly not during a formal gathering. Certainly not toward a human. Liari looked at her daughter for a long moment. Her expression softened only slightly, but for a Lurian, the change was enormous. She addressed the nobles. "We will adjourn this gathering." The nobles bowed in unison. Their robes shimmered as they retreated in silence. Within moments, the chamber emptied until only the Queen, her child, Aaron, and 2 attendants remained. Liari stepped closer, her gaze warmer than before. "It seems my child feels protected by you," she said. Aaron nodded awkwardly. "I did nothing," he said. "You were present," the Queen replied. "Sometimes presence is enough." Aaron peeked around his leg again. "May he stay near?" she asked. Liari hesitated. Tradition would dictate refusal. Yet she saw the calm in her child's posture. She saw the trust that had formed in an instant. A trust Lurian children rarely showed so easily. "Very well," she said. Aaron smiled softly. Aaron exhaled in relief. The Queen motioned toward a side hall. "Walk with me," she said. Aaron followed, Aaron sticking behind him like a shadow. They moved through corridors adorned with floating lights and soft melodies produced by living crystal. The attendants kept a respectful distance. For several moments, only the sound of their quiet footsteps filled the air. Liari spoke again. "There is a reason my daughter reacted as she did. She has been under immense pressure. Royal life demands perfection. Every movement is watched. Every misstep is noted. It is rare for her to find someone who makes her feel safe." Aaron glanced at Aaron, who walked close enough that her fingers brushed his coat. "I did not mean to disrupt your ceremony," he said. "You did not," Liari replied. "My child did." Yet her reaction reveals something important. Aaron waited. Humans have a quality that many Lurians admire. You endure hardship with resilience. You face danger with defiance. You offer comfort simply by existing. It is a strength we do not possess in the same way. Aaron felt heat rise in his face at the unexpected praise. "I am just a soldier," he said. "You are human," Liari replied. "That is enough." They walked through the palace until they reached a private garden filled with luminous plants that swayed gently as though alive. The garden glowed with soft blue light. Aaron ran ahead and touched one of the glowing petals, then looked back at Aaron with a delighted expression. "Come see," she said. Aaron approached carefully. The petal pulsed when he placed his hand near it. A faint warmth spread through his skin. Liari watched the interaction with thoughtful eyes. "My child seldom smiles during formal gatherings," she said. "Yet she smiles near you." Aaron felt uncertain how to respond. He had never expected to bond with a royal child, or draw the Queen's attention in such a personal way. "I am glad she is comfortable," he said. Liari folded her hands. "There is another matter," she said. "Your act of saving our envoy has made you revered among my people. But what happened today has made you something more. My child chose you instinctively." Aaron blinked. "What does that mean?" he asked. "Among the Lurian," Liari said, "instinct is sacred. If a child seeks protection from someone outside the royal bloodline, that person is considered worthy of trust. In the eyes of the court, you are no longer merely a guest." Aaron tried to understand the weight of her words. "What am I then?" he asked. Liari held his gaze. "You are now considered a guardian figure to the child of the throne." Aaron stared at her. "I did not ask for such a role," he said. Liari nodded. "I know. Yet responsibility often finds those who do not seek it." Aaron tugged at his sleeve again. "Will you stay in the palace?" she asked. Aaron hesitated. Before he could answer, Liari spoke. "If you wish, you may remain as her protector. The role is symbolic yet honored. You would have a place of respect. You would not be confined. You would be free to leave whenever you choose. But while you stay, you would serve as a stabilizing presence." Aaron tried to think through the consequences. His home colony was far away. His future had been uncertain before this invitation. Now he stood before an alien queen, offering him a place in her palace because her child trusted.